The proper care and feeding of a sponsor, or how to raise a happy and healthy old-timer. There comes a point in recovery when we realize something deeply unsettling. Sponsors don't just appear fully formed. They don't arrive perfectly adjusted, endlessly patient, and immune to nonsense. They are not houseplants that thrive on neglect. They are not vending machines for slogans. They are not spiritual ATMs where we insert problems and receive instant wisdom. Sponsors are living creatures. And like any living creature, if you want them to stay healthy, functional, and emotionally available, there are some basic care instructions that tend to help. No one gives us a manual for this. We just get handed a human being with time clean and told, good luck. I'm a recovering addict named Steve, and this is On Life's Terms. Selecting the specimen. Choosing a sponsor is not unlike adopting an older rescue animal. You don't pick the loudest one in the room. You don't choose based on charisma alone. And you probably shouldn't select one simply because everyone else says, oh yeah, they're great. You are looking for temperament. A good sponsor usually shows signs of emotional regulation. They listen more than they talk. They laugh at themselves. They don't appear to be running a spiritual pyramid scheme. If they begin every sentence with, what you need to do is, proceed with caution. A healthy sponsor tends to speak from experience, not authority. They don't position themselves as the answer. They point you toward the work. Also important, compatibility. If your sponsor's idea of recovery involves hiking mountains at dawn while chanting affirmations, and your idea of joy is coffee and emotional honesty after noon, that may create a friction. That doesn't mean they're wrong. It means you may both suffer unnecessarily. Pick someone whose recovery you respect and whose humanity you can tolerate. This is not idol worship. This is long-term relationship planning. Feeding schedule and nutritional needs. Sponsors survive on a very specific diet. They require honesty, willingness, and follow-through. They do not thrive on repeated crises with no action, selective listening, and emotional drive-by check-ins followed by radio silence. One of the fastest ways to malnourish a sponsor is to treat them like an emergency service. Calling only when things are on fire teaches them that their role is damage control, not growth. Healthy sponsors like updates. They like hearing what happened when you actually did the things you said you'd do. They are sustained by effort, not perfection. If you want to keep your sponsor alive and well, feed them evidence that their time matters. A simple, I tried what you suggested and here's how it went, goes a long way. That's a balanced meal. Proper handling and storage. Sponsors do best when handled with care. They are not emotional dumpsters. They are not therapists. They are not responsible for managing our feelings, our schedules, or our spiritual emergencies. A good rule of thumb: if you wouldn't say it this way to someone you respect, don't say it this way to your sponsor. This includes passive-aggressive silence, ultimatums disguised as honesty, using "I'm just being real" as a delivery system for chaos. Sponsors also need storage space. They do not need access to every thought you have in real time. Pausing before calling, asking yourself what you actually need, and then calling with clarity is a kindness. It keeps the relationship clean. Exercise, stimulation, and enrichment. Sponsors need mental stimulation. They enjoy being asked thoughtful questions, watching you wrestle honesty with principles, seeing growth over time. They do not enjoy being asked to co-sign avoidance. repeating the same suggestion for the 7th month in a row, being recruited as backup in arguments with reality. A sponsor stays engaged when the sponsee is engaged. That doesn't mean constant intensity. It means movement. Recovery doesn't require dramatic leaps. It responds well to steady steps. When you change even slightly, sponsors notice. And when nothing changes at all, they notice that too. Warning signs of sponsor burnout. Even the healthiest old-timer can show signs of strain. Common symptoms include shorter responses, longer pauses, a sudden increase in phrases like, "What do you think?" suggesting you talk to someone else. Frequently. This isn't abandonment. It's often a sign that the relationship needs adjustment. Sometimes the issue isn't the sponsor, it's the dynamic. If a sponsor feels used instead of partnered with, exhaustion follows. The solution is rarely confrontation, it's responsibility. Doing your part restores balance. Gratitude, release, and long-term care. Sponsors are not meant to be permanent authority figures. They are guides for a season. A healthy sponsor wants you to grow beyond dependence. They want you to trust your conscience, your higher power, and your process. Gratitude keeps this relationship human. A simple thank you, acknowledging their time, letting them know their presence mattered. And sometimes, the most loving act is letting a sponsor go when the relationship has run its course. That's not failure, that's maturity. Sponsors are not superheroes. They're recovering addicts who agreed to walk alongside someone else for a while. When treated with respect, honesty, and a little humor, they tend to stick around. When treated like emotional livestock, they eventually wander off. If we care for the relationship supports our growth. And if we remember that sponsors are people, not positions, everyone stays healthier. If you found something familiar in this, you're not alone. If you're new here, this channel explores recovery honestly, thoughtfully, and sometimes with a little laughter. Subscribe to On Life's Terms. Share this with someone who might recognize themselves and keep showing up. Because recovery works best when we're willing to learn, even how to properly care for the people who help us along the way.